We are just about at time, Paul. So
I can do a one joke here. So what does a baby computer calls his father? Data.
So, welcome everybody to the Viva Connections SharePoint Community Call. This is Friday the 20th. It's a happy Thursday to everybody. Hope you're having a lovely week so far, and we've got some wonderful contributions and presentations to go through in this call. So, I'm Paul Bullock. I'm from Avanade. So, I'll be your host today, walking you through all the cool stuff that's going on in the community. So our agenda today, we've got project updates, we've got the latest on SharePoint Framework, we've got PnP CLI for M365, dev proxy, we've got controls, we've got a load of other cool things to go through, such as the SharePoint Framework Toolkit, PnP Search web parts, and cool new samples. And together we'll get together for a nice, polish our noses and, present ourselves to the community, wave around and look really cool to everybody. So in together mode. And then we've got some great demos from Nishkalank with, he's one of the refresh rangers working on upgrading the clarity sample for modern SharePoint. She's going to show us that. We've got Aimery Thomas for extending the PnP Modern Search solution to add that search like button, add like button results, which looks really cool. And we've got Franck Cornu who will talk us through leveraging PnP Modern Search Core components and Microsoft Search, which is super cool. Looking forward to those demos. So, but if you're new to the community, welcome. We're happy to have you here. We're very inclusive, and also we've got a massive range of resources for you to leverage. So we have a YouTube channel filled with hundreds of videos, possibly thousands actually. I don't know what the actual count is. It's pretty high. We feed in several, like 20 or 30 videos a week, something crazy like that. But there is that channel for you to use. We've got LinkedIn communities. We've also got our Discord channels as well. We're also on Blue Sky, so you can reach out on these channels. We've got also, if you're looking for samples and code, we've got these beautiful repositories filled with all of these. If you're looking for a SharePoint web part or a script, or working with M365 and the graph, so you've got a range of samples you can leverage for your projects, or if you're learning. It's up to you what you want to do with those samples. And these are all collated in the sample galleries as well. So you don't have to go hunting around each repos. You can leverage the single community samples. But if you think that all of these resources and more, there is absolutely more that's not listed here, by all means go to the aka.ms community home channel, and that will that website, and that will list out everything we do, the other community calls we host, the people involved, and all the cool stuff we've got going on. So have fun with all that content as well. So as I mentioned, this isn't the only community call. There are other options as well. On Tuesdays, Microsoft come out as well and speak to us about all the cool stuff they're working through, and show and tell with all the new innovations they're doing with Copilot and various other technologies as well in that space, which is always certainly my highlight of this week on top of these community calls. We've also got Power Platform monthly call to attend. We've got the Office add-ins. We've also got the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community call, which is next week. And then we've got this call again that repeats continuously as well. And if you're thinking, oh, there's so many calls to attend and you don't want to attend all of them, they are recorded as well. They go onto the YouTube channel at the end of it. But if you want those invites so you can be a part of this, and I highly encourage you to be a part of these calls, because the chat is usually really electric and fun and really super cool. So here you can get the reoccurring invite to those as well. So we've got the Power Platform community call coming on Tuesday. So we've got some cool things coming from Mark Windle and Steve Puslik around finding your content with SharePoint embedded. Fabian Williams will be talking through unlocking the power of M365 data with Copilot agent plugins, caps. So that's super cool. And I've got Vesuvian who'll be running through the preview to the next version of SharePoint Framework, which is super cool. So that'll be on Tuesday next week. If you, as you might have seen, we've got 3 cool presenters presenting today, but if you want to be part of that, you can request to speak. We'll absolutely support you through that process. So if you're new and you want to test the waters. You want to share something cool that you've built. It doesn't have to be like a TARDIS, super advanced futuristic technology. It can be something that you use a lot, or you feel like has a lot of value to others that you want to share with the community. Absolutely, put your name down in this link you've got on the screen here to request that demo spot to show off your cool stuff, and then everyone can learn from that. And there's always going to be a variety of audiences. There's always something to learn on these calls. So by all means, go through that, and we'll support you if you need that extra help as well. And over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Yes, friends. So the Sharing is Caring is alive and well, and we got a new session scheduled. This is our sample contributor session. So if you would like to understand how to use all these cool samples you're going to hear all about and or contribute to them, this is the time for you. These are safe space opportunities. They're hands-on. They're live. We're going to work together, and it counts as a contribution. So check it out at aka.ms/sharingiscaring. It's coming up on March 10th, and we've got more sessions on the works. So keep an eye out for those. Now, once you do contribute, we want to recognize you for all the amazing work that you're doing, and that's where our recognition program comes in. It is powered by Credly. These are official and accredited badges, and again, 100% free. We cover the cost, and they actually matter because they show that you are making a difference in the community. So put them on your blog, put them on LinkedIn, put them on your resume, share them with your managers and your clients. And we've got a lot of fun campaigns coming up. We're going to start refocusing on Parker. We're going to bring Parker back a little more centralized into the community and show off the Parker pack of badges that we're working on. So if you're a big fan of Star Wars, maybe let us know in the chat if you're excited about something like that. We'd love to hear your input. We do need you to opt in, though, aka.ms/community/recognition. It is just a one-time thing, and we will track the amazing work that you're doing. Paul, back to you.
Oh, thank you, David. And I'm really excited. I've had an early preview to some of these new upcoming badges. So absolutely go and get yourself one of those. They look super, super cool. So over to SharePoint Framework. Hand over to Vesa Uvian.
Yes, quick updates in here. First of all, SharePoint Hackathon is coming on March 3rd to 17th. Just a recap on this one. If you're like, what? I haven't heard about this one. AKMS SharePoint Hackathon is the URL. And there's 4 different categories. One of those categories is SPFx and extensibility. But if you are more on looking into, hey, I'm a designer, I would love to actually see and share what kind of designs I've done with SharePoint, those hackathon categories also do exist. So please check out more details on this one at AKMS SharePoint Hackathon. Now let's go to the following slide. Quick update on the growth chart, so to say, just giving you what on earth is this chart. That's basically from January 2021 to January 2024, the daily usage of third-party SPFx worldwide. And it's amazing to see it still keeps on growing after all of these years. We actually do have an anniversary of 8 years with SPFx GAing within Sunday this week. Let's go to the following slide. Now, on the following slide, we're talking about the upcoming 1.21 beta, which is actually planned to go out next week. So still by end of February, that will add a support for flexible layout, default settings, and some card configuration option. The release, at least the initial version, will be relatively simple. We are looking into potentially not within the beta, but maybe into GA version to get Node.js version pumps and all of those things incoming as well. But the first version, the beta one, which is coming next week, is relatively simple. You will see details in the release note on that one. Other than that, a lot of work being done, but there's some stuff which we can't really talk about projects.
Okay, now we have Adam. Is Adam here? If not, I will read through this. So Adam's sadly, I think, poorly. So he's obviously been doing some massive contributions. So I'm glad he's having a little bit of a break. I hope he's having a break. He's not bashing away in code and sniffling away. But he's been involved with 3 new blog posts as well. So we've got a new one from Alex Mecanio about securing your data Power Platform deployments with Azure DevOps workload and Identity Federation. That looks super cool. And Adam's created 2 more blog posts as well. So start your SharePoint Framework journey with SPFx Toolkit, and then we've got set up SharePoint Framework development environment part 2. Using WSL as well. So that's super cool. But again, if you've got a blog that you want to share with the community, that piece of knowledge, and you want to have it in here and earn a badge as well, capture that QR code that you've got in the corner and travel along that and find out how to contribute to that program. Super cool. And next, we've got Copilot prompts. So if you are working with Copilot, I don't know if you've heard of it. That's that thing that everyone seems to talk about. But if you've got a Copilot prompt that you feel is really, really powerful for you and you feel like others might benefit from that, here's your place to share those. So we've got this PnP prompt library. And today we've got a prompt of the week from Jonathan Cousins about talking about whether you're a strategic expert, talking through multi-year 25 years of domain experience, and you want to provide that sort of coaching as well. So again, take that prompt and have a play with it. See if that solves some of your challenges as well. So thank you very much for sharing that, Jonathan. That's super, super appreciated. And over to Julie.
Hey, thanks. So we did a release just yesterday. Version 4.10 got released. There's a bunch of things. Chap Callan did a quick edit on the docs to add code highlighting, which was great. And then we fixed an issue with moving lists instead of to a subfolder. And then we added a new utility method to create change tokens based on the date, which we didn't have for getting changes from a library. So you don't have to get all the changes to get your first change token. So that's helpful. And a big one, Chap added in the entire graph workbook endpoints to the graph. So that was a great add. We did a quick update to the batching logic for SharePoint and Graph to remove the unnecessary reject from carrying through for the send promise. Fixed the content type order on type folder, and then added support for SharePoint batching to auto split the batch if there's too many items in the batch. That had been done for Graph, but unfortunately missed the SharePoint endpoint, so that got done. Again, version 3 support has ended, so do upgrade to version 4. And if you see a PR that has been merged in, but it hasn't been released yet, you can check it out in the version 4 nightly builds by using that command in the slide. And that is all I had. Back to you, Paul.
Cheers, Julie. That is super, super cool. And now we have CLI for Microsoft 365. Over to you. Sorry about that. Over to you. Is it Aldec or Gary?
Gary's out, and I'm not. I don't know if Waldeck is going to cover this or Dev Proxy, but yeah, we got some. Okay, take it away, Paul.
We're like sword fighting. We're almost like we need some lightsabers, and we're like, who's going to win? Probably you, because I don't have a lightsaber, so it's more like you shining a light at me. So, but hey, thank you for letting me run through this. So, running through version 10.4 beta at the moment. So, 3 new features appear to have been added. So we got Entra ID, so revoking sign-in sessions for a given user, which is super cool. So you can react to these events if you have if you want to kick out people's sessions. We've also got retrieving user mailbox settings, and we've got a tenant settings as well to get those tenant level Microsoft 365 reports, which actually looks super cool. I really need to play with that later. Actually, it feels exciting. So and they've also had a patch release as well to fix an error with the setup command for creating that new reg. So that's part of that, and you can install via npm to get those new latest. Remember to add the @next symbol at the end of it so that you can get the latest versions, the latest release versions, and you can run it in Docker as well. By all means, there's the release notes there if you want to know the exact detail of what's released. There is a badge as well for your community efforts, and also there is a Discord community as well. So if you've got any questions around CLI for Microsoft 365, super cool program, lots of active contributors in that space, and you want to, ask around some questions, all is welcome. By all means, join that Discord channel and ask away. Right, over to Dev Proxy.
Over to me. Yes, now it's my turn to speak. There you go. I waited for the whole call. Anyways, right? So Dev Proxy is the easiest way to emulate an API. Whether you need to, mock an API because you're building a front end or the back end and the API isn't there. You're waiting to get API access, or you need mocks for a demo. Dev Proxy is the tool you should definitely use. It's really the easiest way out there to emulate API responses and behaviors. And we've got a beta with a bunch of things that we've fixed. And another thing that we're looking at is making it easier for you to use. So we have a bunch of improvements already shipped in beta. we have a few more that should come in the coming days. And towards the end of the month, we will have a release. We'll have the VO25 with all of these improvements shipped. So definitely give it a try. Take it for a spin and tell us what you think, because we know that it's great already, but with your help, it can be even better. Thank you, folks. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Odak. And I'll cover this one for Adam. So we've got reusable SPS controls.
That should be me.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, fantastic.
It should be Alex, not Adam. Yep, I'm here. Okay.
Sorry, Alex.
Yeah. No worries. Yep. So for reusable controls, the main thing in March, we are going to have a March challenge. Be ready with the new badge wrapper rescuer. As you may know, there are not many issues or improvements were made in the last few months. So we very need your help with fixing issues, submitting issues, etc., etc., etc. So please join us during March and get your badges for that. Thank you, and back to you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Appreciate the update. That's cool. Super cool there. So this one I definitely am covering. So we've got SharePoint Framework Toolkit that Adam Walczyk runs as part of that program. He's working on a new pre-release with contributions from one of our presenters today. Actually, Nishkalank has added the ability to publish a task that combines that bundle together, which is super cool. So if you don't know what this is a tool you can add to Visual Studio Code, in which you can then have that framework for doing standard tasks with SharePoint Framework. So that's super cool, that tool, and it's really active from what I've seen as well. You also get a badge as well if you've got some ideas you want to contribute towards this. There's a badge for this one too, which is super cool. Over to you, Casper.
Thank you. Well, we released yet another version now, so we are heading for we have a security patch coming up as well in the short while. But in the new one, 4.16, we have a new scenario in the documentation by David Meir, who covers how you could actually use PnP Modern Search in a multilingual setup where the terms from term stores are automatically translated to the language of choice by the user. That's a neat thing for those of us who live in countries where there are multiple languages in use. We also have a great fix from Patrick Helgren, who prevented selection. Well, we have an option to select the web part, and if we click anywhere else, it was lost that selection, but now it sticks there. So it's a great enhancement for some scenarios. And finally, I added some code as well, which is not something I usually do because I'm a novice in that area. It's just how to cover SharePoint Embedded and Microsoft Archive stuff as well. We can surface that in the PnP Modern Search web parts. You cannot do that in the out-of-the-box search. That is prevented, but of course we can bypass that and make you have the thing that you really want and need. We also have a new contribution from our friend down there, Sharon Point. So we appreciate all new and existing contributions. So keep it up. That's a great work that we see from people. So back to you, Dave.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Casper. And over to you, David.
Yes, just want to thank everybody for all of their samples on SPFx. Hugo is on a well-deserved vacation this week, so he is processing all those PRs, and we'll get to them as soon as he gets back. On over to Derek for ACES.
Yep, I'm going to talk about ACES. We have 3 new samples. We've got a React Quick View and a React FAQ search from Avanade, and Anoop just merged last night a new stock price chart ace. And we have an input status message update. That was an update to the SPFx version from Aimery. It's great to see some love in the ACES space. Keep those samples coming, and we'll get them reviewed as soon as you can. Thanks. Over to you.
And it's picture time.
That is right. Yes. Sorry.
Over you to David.
Yes, if you want to turn on your cameras, everybody, we will do this quick. We're running just a little bit behind schedule, and Together Mode just does not want to stick today. So come on, you can do it, teams. There we go. All right. Yep, looking good. Excellent. Finally, third time's a charm. See all those wonderful, fantastic faces. Vesa is getting ready. All right. Yes, and I see balloons up top celebrating. So let's count it down. 3, 2, 1, everybody. Let's wave to the community. Looking great to see you. Oh, I get to sit next to Vesa today. That rarely happens. Awesome. Love it. Thank you again. All right. Is that the Mandalorian or the Contribulorian? Maybe Contribulorian. Ooh, maybe that's a new badge. Awesome. Okay.
That's good.
That's right. All right. Thank you, everybody. Paul, back to you.
Brilliant, David. All right, over to our demo speakers today. So we've got Nishkalank presenting on the upgrading Microsoft Clarity web part. So over to you, Nishkalank, if you want to share your screen. Beautiful, that's all coming through.
Sorry, I was muted. So yes, am I audible first?
Yep, absolutely. We're all hearing
Perfect.
you well, so take it away.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul. Let me give you a brief introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Nishkalank Bezawada, and I'm a lead developer and solution architect at Zenit AB. I just joined that company based in Stockholm, Sweden. I am also a Microsoft MVP in M365 development and an active contributor to the Microsoft 365 PnP community. You can also follow me on my socials, LinkedIn and GitHub IDs are as mentioned respectively. I'm also active on Blue Sky, which I actually missed to keep it here. So in my next call, I'll just try to update it. And yes, the agenda of today's call, here's what I'll be covering today. Microsoft Clarity and its uses, a brief introduction to Microsoft Clarity and how it helps analyze user behavior, SPFx extension, how we can use an SPFx extension to integrate Clarity into SharePoint, a code sample, and actually demo god isn't well with me today, so I probably might skip this part, but let's see how it goes. So yes, Clarity and its uses. First, what is Microsoft Clarity? Clarity is a free behavioral analytics tool designed to help website owners and marketers gain deeper insights into user behavior and interaction on their websites. It provides powerful features that allow you to visualize user sessions, track clicks, and analyze scrolling behavior, enabling data-driven decisions to enhance website design, content placement, and user experience. It also provides session recordings, see how users navigate your site, heat maps, identify where user clicks and engages the most, live interactions, get real-time. It gets real-time insights into user behavior. This helps identify problem areas in the user experience and refine the design for better engagement. So yes, the SPFx extension. So first, it's like, while creating a project in Clarity, we'll create a Clarity project ID, and this is the UI for it. This project ID is then used in SPFx extension. The purpose of this extension is to inject the Clarity script along with the project ID into the web page to track the user interactions. This enables seamless user tracking across SharePoint without manual intervention. Now, let me take you through the code sample. First, this web part was developed or created by Yao Ferreira, and it was on SPFx version 1.11.0. And then I have recently upgraded this project into version 1.20.0. It is a clean extension with a simple script in it. Yes, it takes the clarity ID as mentioned here, and from the project component properties back. A null check is done just to see if the clarity ID is retrieved, which loads Microsoft Clarity for user session tracking, and this will be only done if the Clarity ID is set. So this script will be executed only if the Clarity ID is set there. So this script has been injected into the web page, and this allows tracking without blocking page rendering due to its async loading structure. So basically, I mean, as I said in the before that I have some issues with the network. I have just switched my machine to the new one, but then I'm getting all network errors while just running this one. So I'm really very sorry that I couldn't show you how the sessions would look like, but I can actually show you the clarity part. The dashboard, where we this will be the dashboard, and here will be all the recordings, if in case if there are any recordings available. Well, let me go back to the presentation again. Finally, I mean, I would say that to summarize, Microsoft Clarity helps analyze user behavior with heat maps and session recordings. We can integrate Clarity into SharePoint using an SPFx extension, and this allows for seamless tracking without making any modification on the SharePoint pages. So first, I'm really very sorry that this has happened today, but thank you for this opportunity. Happy to be a part of this amazing community, and you all rock. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Nishkalank. It was a really, really cool demo. Not everything goes according to plan, but still awesome to learn of these capabilities and how you can upgrade those solutions as well. So thank you very much. Over to you, Aimery, for extending PnP Modern Search solutions.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. Let me first share my screen. Let me know when you can see it.
Yep, looks good.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Sorry,
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'm fine. So my name is Aimery Thomas. I'm a modern workplace consultant at Avanade, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP for SharePoint and M365 development. And today I'm going to talk to you about how to extend the PnP Modern Search solution to add a like button on search results. So basically what I want to do is to be able to like content search results directly from the search results instead of the library or the list, what you can normally do on SharePoint. So first, a quick introduction or reminder of what is the PnP Modern Search solution. So it's a set of SharePoint Online web parts that you can use to create highly flexible and personalized search-based experiences. So basically, you have a set of web parts, and each web part has a lot of parameters that you can set to fit your needs. But what's even more interesting is that you can also create some more advanced features using customizations. So you can create, like, you can use basic customizations using HTML, CSS, and handlebars, for example, to customize search layouts. But you can also create even more advanced features using SPFx solutions. And for this demo, I will show you how to create a custom web component using an SPFx solution. So first, let's start with a demo. So I'm going to share a SharePoint page, an empty SharePoint page, on which I will start by adding the search results web part. Oops. Okay, so as you can see, I have many web parts from the PnP Modern Search solution, but I want to select the search result solution. I will do some basic configurations to make it work. I will select the SharePoint search, select one additional property that I want to display, which is the last modified time. And then I will also use a simple search query here. So basically, I want to retrieve pages from two different SharePoint sites. So I'm going to apply this query and there. So here I have my pages that are displayed using this built-in layout, which is great. But the thing with this built-in layout, is that you cannot highly customize built-in layouts. So that's why I will use a simple custom layout so that I will be able to add my custom web component to this custom layout. So let me select custom here, and then I will go there and just, use this layout that I've built. It's basically just some standard HTML and CSS with a bit of handlebar expressions for the logic, but quite simple. So we'll copy it and paste it here and save. Okay. So basically I have the same results displayed a bit more differently, but okay, this is it. And now what I want to do is to add my custom web component to the results. So I'm going to switch again to VS Code. So here, this is my component with some attributes that I will need to make my component work. I will copy it and then go back to the layout. And as you can see here, I have each handlebar expression, meaning that for each search result, I want to display it like that. So since I want my web component to appear on each result, I want to insert my component here. And you can just quickly notice that this layout is using this web component, which is a built-in web component to manage the pagination. But here I'm adding my custom web component, and I'm going to go ahead and update my layout with that and save. So my web component is still not there because I have one more step to do. Because basically I need to tell the web part, okay, I've added this web component, but this web component is from this SPFx solution that I uploaded on my tenant catalog. So to do that, And that's why it's very easy to extend the PnP Modern Search solution. I just go to the last page of the property pane, and here I will add the ID, the GUID of my SPFx solution. I will enable it, save, and publish a page, and my component should appear. Yes, okay. So I have it. So basically it displays whether I've already liked the page and how many people liked it. So for instance, if I open in another tab the violin page, I can see the same data as in my search results. And here, if I click on the like button, it will unlike the page. And if I refresh my violin page here, I no longer like the page. And I can do that for each page that appear in my search results. So that's it for the demo. Now let's move on a bit in the code. So first, to create a custom web component, you need to create a SPFx library component. And it's important that you check that the library that you're creating has the same SPFx version of the SPFx version used by the PnP Modern Search solution that you have deployed on your tenant. Because otherwise, it might work, but you might also have some issues. And for the rest of the code demo, let me switch to VS Code, because I guess it will be clearer. So here is my library solution. So here I have my main entry point of the library, which is implementing the extensible library interface, which I'm getting from the Modern Search Extensibility library. Here I'm declaring the service key property and providing some constructor with a scope instance. So basically I'm doing that to be able to use the SharePoint context within my web component, which is very useful. And then I'm providing an implementation of all methods that you can use for extensibility. For example, if you want to build a custom layout, you can use the get custom layout method. But since today I don't want to build a layout, I can just return an empty array. But for the get custom web component method, here I want to return my my web component, which is a like result component. So if we go to the like result web component class, so as you can see here, it extends the base web component class. You have a few things to get the context. You also have the resolve attributes method, which is really useful because what it does, it will get the HTML attributes of my component, those one, and it will pass it to my React component as props. So very useful to get data and to pass it to the web component. And then it will render a React component. And if we move down to the React component itself, so it's a pretty simple React component. So basically what I want to do first when loading the search results is to check how many likes are there who liked the page. And then I also have a method to, like, whenever a user click on the like button, to update the like count and to change basically the icon of the like button, depending of if the user liked or not the page. And finally, the render part, where basically I manage how everything is displayed. So the logic itself is pretty simple, but I think it's really nice to be able to extend this already great solution in such an easy way. That's it for me. Thank you very much. And back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Aimery. That was super, super cool. I found that really, really interesting. So thank you very much for sharing that with the community. Now over to you, Frank, for your topic around leveraging PnP Search Core components.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're all good. Yep.
Oh, I will put the camera on. So again, it's about PnP Modern Search, but not the web part. We'll see about that. I don't have any slides. Sorry for that. That will be just me speaking, and
that's okay.
Yeah, doing my demo. So yeah, today I will present how to leverage Microsoft Search inside your Docusaurus documentation. So can you all see my screen? Just to be sure.
Yeah, you're
okay,
presenting
perfect.
Clearly.
Perfect. So first of all, what is Docusaurus? For those who don't know, this is a static website generator allowing you to create content in Markdown format. It's built by Meta, Facebook actually, and it's using React behind the scenes, and it's usually used for building internal documentation. At least in my case, I use that for my internal documentation for my company project, and it allows basically to manage your documentation alongside your source code. Like instead of relying on, let's say, SharePoint pages or Word documents, for instance. So you have all in the same place, and your documentation is managed just like your code. So that's basically the purpose of Docusaurus. By default, so this solution comes with a default search engine, which is provided by Algolia, which is a third-party tool. But to get it work, you have to build your solution. Actually, your documentation needs to be like publicly available. So for instance, we are using this capability in the Modern Search component website itself. So you can see on the top right there is a search capability. And this one is provided by Algolia. So it works because this site is publicly available. And so it's crawled by the search engine, and we have search results like this. But what if you create a documentation internally and you want to provide that search capability? Because usually when you build internal stuff, they are not available publicly, so you can't benefit from that feature. So what we're going to do today is it's going through from this to this. So a custom website and a custom custom search box here with Microsoft Search. So the goal is to index your Docusaurus site, internal Docusaurus site with Microsoft Search, and provide a search experience directly in that site. So that's the goal basically for the presentation today. So the first, let's say the first steps you will need to do. So how to do that? If I go on the code directly, actually. So to scaffold a new Docusaurus project is quite easy. I won't go through those steps here because it's well documented on their site. So basically, you start a command that will scaffold your solution. By the way, I'm using a sample solution from the PnP Modern Search repository. I should have started with that, actually. So the PnP Modern Search component, for those who don't know, these are different from PnP Modern Search web parts, and these components allow to basically use Microsoft Search from any web-based application. So it means any HTML page, Teams application, SharePoint web parts, and all of that. So by default, the solution provides some already pre-built integration, like SharePoint Framework web parts and Teams application, and also samples like the Docusaurus one I will show you today, and also standalone web component that can be consumed either by adding a script tag in your HTML page or by using the npm package. But I will go through all of that in the demo. So going back to the Docusaurus site, so first things to do is to build, to create a new Docusaurus project. So using the provided npm command, so it will scaffold your basically your project structure. Oh, sorry, not there. So basically, yeah, this one, basically Docusaurus, blah, 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 and a docs folder allowing you to create content in Markdown. So it's really, really easy to start by using the default command. The next step you're gonna do to integrate with search is starting by configuring your Docusaurus site and your filters. Because in Microsoft Search, you can leverage filters, refiners actually, and to use this capability in your Docusaurus site, you will leverage a feature called meta tags for your website. So in the Docusaurus config file there, you have all the site configuration listed there, and you have a special section there, which is the metadata. So those metadata, if you put there, they will apply to all your pages within your site, right? And this metadata can be leveraged by Microsoft Search as actually to be used as a filter in the end. So we define a couple of them. It's better to define them in the global configuration file directly because it will apply to all your pages, but you can also define metadata at page level. But in my case, I'm using the global configuration. So I define a couple of metadata, project name, project type, whatever. And what it means basically is this, this property will appear in the head there. So in your page, if you inspect the head section, you will see those metadata appear there. So this will be used by Microsoft Search after that for filters. So that's the first thing you need to do. Then you need to deploy your application to host your application directly. So because it's a static site generator, normally you shouldn't have to use an app service, an Azure app service or web application. You could, let's say, deploy that in a static web blob container or something like that. In our case, we want probably an authentication part on top of your documentation. So that's why in the sample provided here, I use a web application, an Azure web application, to deploy that that site because technically there is no server needed to serve this kind of solution. You just upload your artifact in a blob container. Basically, it works. But in my case, I'm using a dummy web server to serve those things. So if you go there, you will see a dummy web server and a webpack config just to serve the pages from an Azure app service. So if I go on the Azure side, I have an app service created, so basic app service there, where I can deploy my application, my website, and I will configure the authentication part. So why we are using an app service instead of blob container is because of the authentication part, basically. Because we will use Microsoft Search, all those calls need to be like authenticated, and for that we have basically two ways to do that. The first one is to use, let's say, a client-side implementation directly within your site using, let's say, msal.js, for instance. So you go on your site, sign in button, you sign in, and then you can search for content, or you can use the app service EDOS feature, which is basically the authentication part there. The first way to do this, actually using the MSL.js library, in the case of search, can't really do that. Why? Is because the crawler, the web crawler, the Microsoft Search web crawler won't work when using that authentication type. So you need, let's say, an authentication in front to be able to get your site crawled. So that's why we are using the authentication feature from the web app there. So you need an Enter ID application to search for your content. So in my case, I registered an application in my Azure tenant and also configured the necessary permission. So in Microsoft Search, when you index like external sources, you will need that specific permission. So external item read.all, and that's necessary to call your website. And on your app service there, you just configure your provider. So basically you add Enter ID provider and set the Enter ID application there. So it's really straightforward, the configuration there. Select your existing SPN and it will be configured by default. So it means when you hit that endpoint, so let's say if I go on a new private window, let's say, so it will hit the authentication first and you will have to log in. But this part is not handled by my code. It's really handled by the app service. Okay, so that's for the authentication part and deployment part for your website. Then the next things to do is to configure the Microsoft Search site. So your application is ready, it's deployed, it's accessible like internally, and you have an authentication on top of that. The next step is to add a new connector in Microsoft Search. So for that, you go on the Microsoft Search Admin Center and you add a new connection. In my case, actually in the case of the demo, I will use the Enterprise Website Cloud because it's a publicly available website. But in the company scenario, in enterprise scenario, you should use the on-prem connector. These are basically the same. The only difference is the on-prem connector will require you to provision an agent, a Graph Connector agent, to access your internal data sources. So this is really the difference there. But they basically work the same way. But just for the demo purpose, I will use the cloud connector. So you configure your URL there, and the cool thing about that is you can set an authentication type there, and that's why we are using the idiot feature there. So we can use a hot connection and put the information of the Enter ID application there. So the resource ID will be the client ID of course, the client ID, and the secret there. So normally from there, you will be able to authenticate through your site. Okay. Custom setup, it will be easier. Yeah. And normally you should be able to authenticate directly to your site using the connector. Validating the connection. Okay, great. So it's authenticated, and now I can start configuring my connector. So in the content tab there, so remember the meta tags we defined in our solution. If you add a property there, you can select meta tag there. And on the meta tag, you will see normally all your meta tags defined in your Docusaurus project. So it allows you basically to configure your schema the way you want. So some property can be searchable, some of them can be refinable. It's up to you to decide, but basically you can leverage those properties directly in that connector. I won't create that connector like there because it's already created and we don't have time to index that. But basically that's the initial configuration to leverage your meta tag. So at this point, you have basically a blank Docusaurus site with authentication configured and the connector configured as well. Now it's time to see how we can integrate the PnP Modern Search component directly into the Docusaurus solution. So if I go back on my solution there, so I have my source here, and we're going to use a feature of Docusaurus that is called swizzling. The swizzling basically is just a technique to replace some existing parts of the UI. So for instance, the default search box, I want to replace that with my own search component and something like that. So Docusaurus provides some default placeholders to replace, but in our case, we will replace like 2. And the most important one is the root one. So the root one is basically the global component that will be initialized like just once during the application load. And this is where we're gonna define, let's say, our initialization code. For instance, registering the component and all of that. In the case of Docusaurus, there is special things to consider. It uses React, but React server-side and not client-side. So it means you can't import the components directly from there. For instance, if I do something like this, or the import there, it won't work because the PnP Modern Search Core components are meant to be used in the browser and not on the server. So that's why we are using a technique just there, an effect in React just to delay the import of the components so it works. But otherwise, it won't work if you put the import directly there. So what we are doing here is basically we are using the npm package, importing all the components. So we have the same as PnP Modern Search Core. We have the same components: results, search box, filters, verticals, and all of that. And we import them so they can they can be used directly in Docusaurus pages. The next thing we do actually is to handle the authentication. Because the authentication is not managed directly through your code, like using MSL, JS, or something like that, you need to get the authentication token coming from EasyAuth, so you can use it for your graph call, actually, to get the search results. The EasyAuth feature is pretty straightforward. To get your access token, you just have to call a couple of methods there. So for instance, the auth login, and you have also other methods to log out and also refresh your access token. In that case, you can just get like I said, your access token and provide that to your components. So the PnP Modern Search Core components, they are using Microsoft Graph Toolkit behind the scenes. And the way Microsoft Graph Toolkit works is you have a global provider on your page that handles authentication, and all the components are using that provider. So in that case, we create just a simple provider with the access token, so all the components can use that and use that access token if they have to make a graph call. And we set that component, that provider, like globally. That is in the case if we are behind EasyAuth feature, like a web application. In the local scenario, we are just using the MSL provider, the default one from Microsoft Graph Toolkit. So we have a signing button, and the authentication is handled, like I would say, manually. So that's for the initialization, the global initialization of the component. Then we're gonna create our search box. So we go on the search bar there component, and we consume the PnP Modern Search Core components from there. So in that case, because these are React components, I use a special library to just translate my web components into React components so I can use them in Docusaurus. So for instance, I use the PnP search inputs there, and I'll configure all my settings here. So you have multiple settings available for each component, and basically these components will appear on my page when deployed. So yeah, in my case, I redirect to a search page. So whenever I type something in the search box, I will be redirected to the search page using that specific query URL. And on my search, actually the search page itself, if I go on pages there, I have a special page search there, and the same. I'm creating those components. Actually, I wrap those components as React component there, and I create my search experience. So the search input, search filters, and all of that to have my experience there. So in the end, with this specific configuration, the result will be something like this. So if I type something in my search box there, so it's really the search bar component, redirect to the search page there, and the components are executed, and they are all connected inside the page all together. And as you can see, the authentication is performed directly. So I use the login control there. So I'm not prompt to log in. It's just like automatic. The token is retrieved, and I have the authentication is already handled for me. This is the web application scenario, but if you want to test it locally, for instance, so on the Docusaurus site, you can simply run that command, like pnpm run start. It will start the local thing to spin up the local server there, and normally you will see the difference there. Did I just stop that? Okay. Come on. Okay, perfect. And now if I go on that page, so you have the exact same motion, but the difference is because we are not actually behind the web application, you just have a sign-in button there. So that's really the how we handle the local scenario and the production scenario where your components are defined. So in sign-in is basically the same. You get an access token, and you will be able to crawl your content there. Of course, it's not configured because I didn't test that, but that's the idea basically behind this. So you can start from the existing sample on the GitHub repository there, sample Docusaurus, and you have all those steps explained. I also wrote a blog post, a complete blog post about that, all the steps and the things you need to think about when configuring this. But basically, it allows you to integrate the search feature in any Docusaurus sites in your company. So that's a really interesting use case.
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, Frank. We're running out of time, but
yeah, sorry for that.
That's all right. That's absolutely cool stuff, and thank you very much for walking through all that goodness there. So let me just reshare my screen. But yeah, thank you everybody for the three speakers. Absolutely loved the demonstrations you've done today, and I don't know about you, but I certainly have a head full of cool stuff to go away and think about and play with. If you want to provide any feedback about our calls, if you've got any complaints or any constructive criticisms, or you're happy with them, by all means, go to the community calls. Remember, my name's Paul. Remember to tick that 5 stars. No, just kidding. Any feedback's welcomed, so we can grow and learn and improve for the next one. But the fun doesn't stop there. We have our Discord server. So if you want to continue the conversation over into that space, we have over 2,500 members, and we'd be more than happy to welcome you aboard and ask away any future questions. But again, thank you very much for all the presenters today. Absolutely fantastic amount of contributions there from the community and all the updates as well. Again, this video will be posted on YouTube in 24 hours time. But again, you can either go to Discord or you've got those social media links to reach out to us. And our next call is on March the 6th. So hope to see you there for Viva Connections. And we've got the Power Platform call on next Thursday. So see you there. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely Thursday evening.
Thanks, everybody.